The restless tides, flowing in and out 4 tides a day. A firm thinks it's time to harness all that energy.
Hi there, and welcome to today's webinar where we're going to be discussing the impact of the Swansea Lagoon Tidal Power project that will be taking place in the coming years. I'm Daniel March and I'll be chairing the conversation today, where we'll first be having a technical review by members of the panel who are here from Tidal Lagoon Power itself. We'll then open it up and ask questions from the audience and from online sources, so get involved, get on social media and ask questions using the hashtag #LoveTheLagoon. We'll then also close by having a brief talk from the panel themselves, where they'll be explaining how they've tried to optimise the sustainability of the project themselves, and then finally we'll conclude with an overview of what we've discussed today. So first off, let's now go to the panel where they'll introduce themselves and what impact they're going to have on the project taking place.
Hello, I'm Henry Galbraith and I'm in charge of financial analysis for the Swansea Tidal Lagoon project.
Hi, I'm Connie Salvation and I'm the environmental lead. I've led extensive research into the environmental impact assessment.
Hi everyone, my name is Michelle Unsworth and I'm the Director of Engineering here at Swansea Tidal Lagoon. I have over 30 years of experience in the renewable power industry and I'm in charge of all the engineers, health and safety specialists and modellers of the lagoon.
Hi, I'm Harry Francis and I'm Head of Public Relations for the Swansea Tidal Lagoon project.
Okay, thank you very much for that, guys. So now we're going to watch a video just to give everyone a bit of a background information if they didn't have it already on the Tidal Lagoon Power project itself.
This is Swansea Bay, Wales. The tidal range here is enormous. At 7 to 9 metres, a natural place for us to start our journey into tidal power. Here is our vision. A 9.5 kilometre long causeway forming an 11.5 kilometre squared lagoon, producing enough tidal energy to generate power for over 100,000 homes. But it's not just about energy. This £650 million investment will offer long-term jobs, a sporting and recreation arena, a mariculture farm, together with compelling art and associated education programs for primary, secondary and university level learning.
Very interesting. So now Michelle's going to give us a quick technical overview and a bit more in-depth discussion on the project itself.
Thanks, Dan. The project will create a 750-metre long lagoon-shaped seawall in Swansea Bay. The wall will be made up from hydraulically filled geotextile tubes and compact sandfill. Layers of rock will then be added on top to protect the wall from degradation. Concrete turbine housings will hold up to 26 low-head bulb turbines that are permanently submerged. Each turbine can generate up to 16 megawatts of electricity per hour. The turbine sluice gates will be closed until the water level outside the lagoon is high enough. It will then open to let the water flow into the lagoon through the turbines to generate electricity. This process then occurs in reverse on the ebb tide. We've collaborated and sourced from only the best for this scale and importance of a project. The turbine selected for the Tidal Lagoon will be manufactured by Andritz Hydro, and the turbine's control systems and generators which will produce the renewable electricity will be made by General Electric UK. Our lagoon design has also increased flexibility of output, helping tidal lagoons to integrate with local ecosystems and ever-evolving grid demands. After the collapse of the steel industry and the loss of 9,000 jobs, we now have the opportunity to make use of these specialist skills by making something happen that will rebuild the industry in the south of Wales and provide recreational facilities as well as renewable power to the region. Now, as a final thing from me, I just want to turn your attention to the timeline of the Swansea Lagoon project, through milestones that we've already accomplished and timings of the plans for the future. 2012 was when the first planning document for Swansea Bay Tidal Lagoon, the first of several lagoon projects planned for the UK, was submitted for inspection. In 2013 and 2014, public interest started growing, with the lagoon featuring in the UK Renewable Energy Roadmap and the UK National Infrastructure Plan. 2015 was an exciting time for us. The government started negotiations in its budget to include funding for the lagoon. We released to the public our plans for a fleet of 6 lagoon power plants, and finally, Swansea Bay Tidal Lagoon was awarded Development Consent Order. From there, national studies took place and the Hendry Review reported back as favourable on all tidal lagoons, with the Swansea Bay project deemed as a no-regrets option. Looking into the future now, we plan to start construction on 2018, which is planned to take a total of 4 years, with the energy first being produced in year 3. I hope that provides you with a much better background of the project, and I'm happy to take any more questions you may have on Twitter.
Okay, thank you very much for that, Michelle. So we're now going to go over to our out in the field correspondent, Simon, who's been taking your questions on the Tidal Lagoon Power project.
Thanks, Dan. So I'm here with Gary from the local Birdwatch, and he has some concerns about the project.
I'm really concerned about the sort of habitat and breeding area of the greater crested grebe in the Blackpill area. In years past, companies have polluted the area, and I'm concerned that the lagoon is going to do something similar and disrupt their natural habitat. How are you going to solve this?
Okay, thank you, Simon, for that, and very good question, Gary. Connie, I think you're best situated to answer this question.
Thanks, Gary. I can see your concerns. But in answer to your question, when we actually take a step back and look at the bigger picture, climate change is driving sea level rises, which could see 3/4 of the 7 estuaries mudflats disappear in the next 100 years. Innovation of new technologies for renewable energy is the only way forward to protect the environment in which we live. We actually put nature in the heart of everything we do through driving the ecosystem enhancement programme, where we will create, restore and protect existing habitats. So intertidal habitats and wetland reserves, such as mudflats and salt marshes, will be created.
Okay, great answer, Connie. I hope that answers your question, Gary. And if I'm right, we've just got a tweet come in, so let's have a look at that. Okay, so it looks as though this tweet is from Sally White of the Angling Trust and Fish Legal, and it looks as though she's got serious concerns about the impact of this project on the salmon and sea trout fishing industry. Connie, I think you're best to answer this. What do you say in response to it?
Thanks, Sally. It's great to hear from the Angling Trust and Fish Legal. In answer to your question, we understand the potential effect that the construction and operation will have on the salmon and sea trout, and also mammals such as the grey seal. We have carried out multiple surveys, both aerial and acoustic, coupled with existing reports to help us better understand the impacts. An environmental impact assessment was conducted looking into the effects of the operation. So we used individual-based modelling, which was used to predict the encounter rates of fish and the lagoon, along with Striker to predict the number of fish that will have injuries from the turbines. By radio tagging and tracking the fish migration patterns, we are confident the modelling results are very accurate and have showed that less than 3% of all species will be affected. These mortality rates are well within the natural annual variation which occurs in the species naturally. Whilst relying on fossil fuel, we suck up so much cooling water, which kills millions of fish each year. So actually, investing in renewable sources is the only way forward.
With a key selling point of this project being a lesser reliance on the use of fossil fuels, it is therefore important that the energy utilisation during the construction phase is scrutinised. In this respect, we've got a question now from Renewable UK Cymru from Jackson.
How can you claim that this project is environmentally sound when 5 million tonnes of rock are required for construction, all of which needs quarrying? This will require a large amount of fossil fuels to be consumed during the transport, all of which are going to produce greenhouse gases. What do you have to say about this?
A really valid concerns of professionals within the energy sector. Admittedly, fossil fuels will be required to transport the rock required for construction. However, the project will provide 155,000 homes with renewable energy for the next 120 years. Therefore, in the long term, this will result in 236,000 tonnes of carbon emissions saved each year. Additionally, we are committed to supporting the principle of creating sustainable UK employment. Purchasing the rock will actually boost the economy.
Okay, so we've now got another question from Simon, who's out with another member of the public. So Simon, over to you.
Hi, I'm here with a concerned parent from the local school.
I understand that there's going to be a large injection of funds into the area. However, I'm concerned that the school that my son's at is going to be overcrowded and underfunded due to the number of workers and their families moving into the area. I'm also very concerned about the coastline. It's an area of natural beauty, and I'm just concerned that the lagoon's going to ruin it. How are you going to sort this out?
Although there will be a slightly increased demand in the local infrastructure, this will only be a temporary issue that occurs during the peak construction phase. Also, an independent report by White Consultants titled Review of Environmental Statement, Sea Landscape and Visual, has confirmed that the character of the beach will remain unchanged and the visual pollution will be minimal. There is a significant investment going into this project, £1.3 billion to be exact. A portion of this will be used to rejuvenate the local area by creating a range of facilities for local residents and tourists to use, including a visitor centre, marine wildlife conservation projects, and water sports facilities.
Okay, and it looks as though we've received another tweet. Let's have a look at that now. So this next tweet is from Paul Jones of the Comrie Parish Council, who, by the looks of it, has a query as to whether this is going to impact the funding currently being given to local community programmes. And additionally, he wants to hear a little bit more about the job opportunities that this project may bring to Swansea. Connie, I believe you're best to answer this one again.
I'm glad you asked that question, Paul. However, the project will bring 2,232 construction and manufacturing jobs, which will be directly sustained from the Swansea Tidal Lagoon project. This will not only boost the Welsh economy, but the UK economy.
In addition to this, there will be significant retraining of parts of the population. There will be many apprenticeships available for young people for construction and maintenance. Small programs will be protected as the majority of the funding is coming from private investors such as Macquarie Capital.
So, with a great project like this on quite a large scale, I imagine a lot of people's minds are thinking, how is this going to be financed, and is it financially viable? In this regard, we've now got a question from Charles from the Citizen Advice Cymru.
Hi there, I'm Charles from Citizen Advice Cymru, and me and my colleagues here want to discuss today serious concerns we have over the financing of the Swansea Tidal Lagoon project. If our information is correct, we're led to believe that to complete funding, local electricity bills will actually increase to complete the funding of the project itself by around 20 to 30 pence per year for each consumer which is using the energy in the area. Additionally, the project will require significant subsidies. We're led to believe £168 potentially per every megawatt hour produced using this technology, which will make it one of the most expensive renewable fuel sources in the UK at this current time. With all of this being the case, is it not potentially a wiser decision to trust and to further develop previously established technologies like wind farms as opposed to this new technology, which, considering it requires significant investment and cost to the user, maybe it's just not worthwhile? What do you have to say about this?
Thanks for the question, Charles. You are partially correct. Over the first 35 years, the cost of electricity will be approximately the same as a wind farm. Over the 120-year lifespan of the project, it will be significantly cheaper than any other form of electrical generation that we have at the moment. The £168 per megawatt hour figure that you mentioned, that's about 50% out. It's a bit close to £80 per megawatt hour, so the subsidy isn't quite as large. For a wind farm to match the Tidal Lagoon over its 120-year lifespan on average, it would have to decrease its capital costs by approximately 40% and increase its lifespan by 70%. And that would only bring it, just about on par with the lagoon. The electricity is considerably cheaper for a tidal lagoon because it's generating baseload electricity. It doesn't have to respond to consumer demand.
Okay, thank you for everyone's questions. It's great to see so many people contributing online and both here in the studio. So now, as previously mentioned, we are going to have a quick talk from Tidal Lagoon Power on their own assessment on the sustainability of the project, what risks they've identified, and then what measures they're trying to put in place to mitigate these.
A suss-up was conducted by the team here at Tidal Lagoon Power. This is a sustainability, opportunities and risk framework to assess sustainability of the project. Major risks and opportunities were identified in ranks in terms of likelihood and impact each will have. Here we can see the rating of risks. We are interested in improving the risks that have a high negative impact and a high likelihood, shown in the high section of the graph. R5 is the impact of disturbing the Great Crested Grab during construction and operation of the lagoon. R2 is the loss and damage of sites in special scientific interest, more specifically Blackspill and Crumlin, due to cable installation, as well as R10, the recontamination of recently restored land. These have been addressed in the Ecosystem Enhancement Programme, where extensive modelling and potential impacts on species
was undertaken to come up with ways to reduce potential impacts. Salt marsh and artificial sand dunes will be created to help conserve habitats, as well as a sea wall protecting the coastline from erosion. Here we can see the rating of opportunities. Within the high section, overall shows that seasonal installation of cables and rubber matting has proven to have a negligible impact on fish spawning and the bird breeding season. 06 shows that we are committed to careful and stringent monitoring of effluents released during the construction, that they won't harm the environment. And 07 shows that conducting carbon emissions and an embodied energy study life cycle will help improve the lagoon and is a promising alternative to future renewables. The lagoon will become a tourist spot with an estimated of 100,000 visitors a year, a real opportunity to boost the economy as well as reducing carbon emissions by 236,000 tonnes a year. Sporting events such as sailing and triathlons will take place, as well as a visitor centre, creating a real sense of community.
So that concludes the webinar. Thank you to everyone who's participated, both here in the audience and at home. And if you do have any more questions you'd still like to post to the panel, please do continue to submit them online using the hashtag #LoveTheLagoon across all social media sites. And now, here's a video from some people you may know.
Hi, I'm Julia from Gower Surfing. We're based here in Cadswell. I love the idea of the lagoon in Swansea. It's going to bring lots of jobs to Swansea. It's going to give the opportunity to do more water sports, jobs for younger people, older people, whoever.
Hi, my name's Tom Yearley. I'm Head of Sustainability Delivery at the University of Wales Trinity St David. I think the Tidal Bay Lagoon will be a fantastic opportunity for Swansea, Wales and the UK to really take a lead in renewable energy globally. Every reason when the summer comes round.